you said obviously there's got to be concrete evidence of like, okay,
So,
someone, if you just say someone's fired, someone to say, you know what, it's because I'm of a certain race, religion, but like usually nowadays people are like, I'm assuming it's gonna be circumstantial because there's no like they're not gonna usually. I'm sure. I mean, I know it happens. So there's actual emails saying bad things about some sort of class, and I'm sure that evidence is out there. But a lot of times nowadays it's not. How do you like have a successful wrongful termination case based on race, religion,
yeah, so
and there's no smoking gun?
you never get a smoking gun.
Yeah,
You never get a
yeah,
smoking gun. But what you will get is, for example, an owner saying
hmm
negative things about a certain race,
hmm
right? And then you can connect the dots and
hmm
timing to when these statements were made, the composition of the workforce, and you can put together the puzzle a little
yeah,
bit. But you don't have a smoking gun.
yeah,
But you do need something. You need to,
yeah,
and often, witness statements. We get declarations a lot
yeah,
in employment, and we try to get them at an early stage. So, if somebody's saying they're fired because of their age, then
hmm
we will talk to coworkers and see if we can get a declaration about
hmm
comments that were made about this person's age, and we
yeah,
do that in an early stage.
yeah. So what if like, okay, so say for instance, and like there's just hypothetically there's a case where you have an employee that or someone that's older, they're 60, 65 plus,
Hmm.
and do you and the owner just like, you know what, I'm gonna make a change, we're growing, just not, maybe this might not be the person, or just they're just checked out,
Yeah.
um how does like an employer protect themselves though, as far as like, because then I always the only thing is whenever you make that move and they're in a protected class and you terminate them for good cause, say, you know what, they're just not performing anymore.
Yeah, so
How do you
from
not
from
avoid
an
a lawsuit? Yeah,
employer's
yeah,
perspective, what they should do is create a paper trail
yeah,
for termination. So you point to negative things, negative performance,
yeah,
and you just mark it
hmm
down. And then just because somebody's old doesn't mean they can't get fired. Just
yeah,
because somebody's of a certain gender, race,
yeah,
whatever, you can still fire somebody for that.
yeah,
But if you're saying that negative things about their age and you're hiring
yeah,
younger people at a lower salary to do the same work,
hmm
that smells like age discrimination.
yeah, definitely. So you're having a paper trail and like, hey, this is documenting things, like, you know what,
Yeah, from an employer's perspective, you got to document things,
yeah,
and then you also have to be careful of the optics and retaliation. If the employee ever
hmm
complains, okay, they say I'm
hmm
being treated differently because of whatever protected category, you have to really be careful not to fire them soon after they make that complaint.
hmm
Because the optics are you're retaliating against them if they're
yeah.
saying
So they made a complaint on. So today's Monday. They complained on Thursday, and then you get that so that itself could be
yeah,
circumstantial evidence.
yeah, exactly. The timing of the
Yeah.
termination, in related to when the complaint was made. Generally, there's about 6 months that an
hmm
employer has because it's hard to make the argument that somebody's been retaliated against
Yeah.
more than 6 months later.
hmm
So that's generally where the line is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if somebody complains, cannot fire them.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and you as a business owner, you got the responsibilities. You got a privilege of making profit in the state, or and running a company here. You got to follow the rules. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, employment, and there's always these new laws coming. Like, there's always changes in laws. So I knew real quick, and I didn't like the employment cases I were a part of. It gets really emotional. Like the clients, everyone. It's just the depositions or the transcripts of this, the huge,
Oh yeah.
a lot of narrative, lot of.
Employment's a difficult practice area. It's
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 just the
very
workplace.
emotional because
It,
people identify with the work that they do
yeah,
in a
exactly.
very big way, and often, like I said, there's not insurance, so the
hmm
employer they feel very strongly on their
hmm
side. The employee feels really
hmm
strongly, and there's emotion, and
Yeah,
it's just it's a difficult
I did not
practice
like
area.
it. The few cases I did, I was like, no, man,
Yeah,
I don't like any of this stuff.
yeah, it's tough, but it's I like it
Yeah,
because it's righteous work,
yeah,
and we are fighting. We only do plaintiff side work, so
hmm
we're representing mistreated people and,
yeah,
fighting really for the underdog.
hmm
We're fighting that uphill battle, that
yeah,
David versus Goliath, and it's rewarding.
yeah. Oh, definitely. And you coming with my, my even seeing, my parents, or you forget, like, like these are some people that we've been kind of blessed to become lawyers and start businesses and stuff. And, and most people, they're just making ends meet. And this is their job. Like you said, they identify with it. They put so much years into a company and
Sure.
there's loyalty. And someone, just fires them for, unlawful reasons. I can see how it's kind of
Oh yeah.
pisses you off. Like, that's not right. But yeah,
Yeah, and
no.
the sad part about
Yeah.
a lot of the people that call, the sad reality is that
Mhm.
they've been legally fired,
Yeah.
and they think that they've been wrongfully terminated, but they worked in a toxic work environment, and there's a distinction between a toxic work environment and an
Yeah.
illegal one. I tell people this all the time,
Yeah.
and it sucks because you put decades of your life into
Mhm.
something, and that's how you identify, and it's a
Yeah.
big part of who you are, and then it just ripped away from you, but it's not necessarily legal when it
There's a
happens.
fine line between being like a jerk or asshole than doing
Something that's
something.
illegal.
So you
Yeah.
could have a jerk or just
Oh yeah.
real punk boss,
Yeah.
but
It
he
really
just
only.
didn't cross that line.
It's only if
Yeah.
your boss is an asshole treating you terribly, he's just a real piece of shit. It's not not illegal. It's only illegal if he starts treating you, or she starts treating you differently because of your membership in a protected category. You can't be treated differently because of your age, race,
Yeah.
religion, national origin, sexual orientation,
Yeah. It's
etc.
crazy that people that, I think we're good guys, and it's crazy to think like people do that. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That's you see it like, man, there's people out there that are just bad bosses, and you know, that's
There's a lot of really terrible work environments.
yeah.